people trickling into our mini Zoom auditorium. I am Vishnu Suresh. I am a second year undergraduate student here at UC Berkeley, studying computer science and data science. I'm joined by my very good friend and colleague, Gautam Anand. Gautam, will you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Vishnu. Hi, everyone. My name is Gautam. I'm a third year student here at UC Berkeley, and I'm studying computer science and data science, which many of my friends here at the Speaker Series Club are also studying. And yeah, welcome everyone for this exciting conversation that we are going to have with Mr. Ajay Maken. And I think we'll just get started in the next 2 to 3 minutes, Vishnu, if that's fine.
Yes. Uh, Before we begin, though, I'd like to acknowledge something which is very important. It is, if you may know, it's the 26th of November right now in India, and soon it's going to be the 26th in the US as well. And this day has some significance to every Indian, which is 14 years ago today, India experienced one of the most dastardly terrorist attacks that the planet has ever seen, the Mumbai terrorist attacks of 2008. On behalf of Speaker Series India at Berkeley, I'd like to acknowledge the fact that these attacks have caused a lot of suffering 14 years ago, but the wounds of these attacks even are relevant today. Innocent civilians lost their lives. Our brave defense forces also, many of them sacrificed their lives and are martyred. But what I want to end on is that even though this incident was horrific, India as a country is strong and will stay strong. And we hope and pray that the strength remains with us as we progress and as we develop in the coming years. So with that being said, I'd like to officially begin our event, Unravelling the Indian Polity with Mr. Ajay Maken. If you don't know, Mr. Ajay Maken is a former minister in the government of India under Dr. Manmohan Singh's cabinet. He's held critical roles in the government of India, including including being the Minister of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation, Minister of State, independent charge for youth affairs and sports, Minister of State in the Home Affairs. He's been a legislator for 21 years in the Delhi Legislative Assembly as well as in the Lok Sabha. With all this experience that Mr. Maken has, I'm sure that this conversation is going to be very insightful, freewheeling, candid, and many, many more exciting adjectives that I probably won't be able to find in the span of 2 minutes. So, Mr. Maken, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. We are so happy that you joined us.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much, sir. Just to start off, sir, because we are all students sitting here attending, most of us are students, though I can see a few professors have joined in. I want to ask you, sir, and probably take you back to your very early days in Hansraj College, Delhi University. Most people may not know this, but you have a degree in chemistry from the prestigious Delhi University. And we're curious, sir, what made you pursue chemistry, and what made this chemistry student join this rough sport called politics?
Well, you'll be surprised. I wanted to join politics ever since I was in 6th standard or 7th standard. So it is not that it came, I'm not an accidental politician. So I wanted to be in politics ever since I was very young. And for that reason, from 6th, 7th standard onwards, I started participating in school debates and dramatics and theater and things like that. And I then became editor of my school magazine, St. Xavier School in Delhi. So I wanted to be in politics. So when I got admission in chemistry honors, I had also got admission in St. Stephen's in BSc General. So I preferred chemistry honors Hansraj College because I wanted to join student politics, and St. Stephen is not a part of Delhi University. So St. Stephen student can't become a university students union president. So later on, I contested University Students Union President. I was my college Students Union President, then University Students Union President. So I wanted to do politics right from beginning. Chemistry honors, why I selected, because we had a family business in which my father thought that if I am not successful in politics, then I may go back to business. So it was the other way around. People
Oh,
normally who fail in business or who are unable to get job, they come to politics. My father thought that if he fails in politics, let him come back to business with chemistry honors degree. So my father, what he thought did not happen. What I thought happened, and I'm in politics.
so that must have been a very good outcome for you.
Yeah, it is, because this is something which I always wanted. It is not, and I think there's nothing bad when people say they are accidental politician. They have some other achievements. It's good, but I wanted to be in politics right from beginning.
So it's very fantastic to hear. So not many people uh, get to choose a career path and actually live the career path that they initially desired. It's very good to hear that we have people like you who are, if I may use the phrase, living their dream. Uh, to continue, sir, I want to ask you, at some point in your life, you would have had to decide what ideology you would want to prescribe to. Even in the student union days, you would have to decide maybe why the National Students Union of India or why the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad. So I want to ask you, sir, from the very beginning, what led you choose one ideology over the other?
My grandfather was a freedom fighter, and my grandmother was also a freedom fighter. My great grandfather also was a freedom fighter. So, being from a family of freedom fighters, and they were all in prison during the freedom struggle at some point or the other. And in 1942, my grandfather left his studies to join the freedom movement. So I was born and brought up in such an atmosphere in my family. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to join politics, and that was the reason why I always wanted to be in Congress party. So the ideology which we used to discuss within the family was that of Gandhian or Nehruvian politics. That was of secularism, socialism, and like that. So that is something which was imbibed in me, and that is what motivated me to join politics, and that is what motivated me to join Congress politics. So many people are leaving Congress. I can't even think of it because of this. It may be many people may like our ideology, may not agree with our ideology, but at least I think it is good to have an ideology and stick to it, and remain with the ideology and fight for the ideology.
So it's great to hear. Gautam is very curious to ask some of these questions to, learn more about the Congress party and its plans for the future. So Gautam.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vishnu. Thank you so much, firstly, Mr. Maken, to go that back in your college, school days, and share such personal, valuable insights with us. So now that you brought the topic of the Congress Party, all of us here, including me, Vishnu, and everyone in the audience, is curious to know more about Congress and how we see the future for the Congress Party. So, since Congress is the largest opposition voice today in the country, it can do a lot with its current role, right? And it has been doing a lot since the past, like since time immemorial. In this light, what do you think are the main goals or the key aspects that the Congress Party is planning to focus on in the next 2 to 3 years, maybe, especially under the leadership of the new first non-Gandhi president recently elected in the last 24 years, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge? What are the plans that the Congress Party has in mind for the next 2 to 3 years, maybe till we reach the 2024 elections?
Uh, uh, as far as the Congress party is concerned, definitely we look election to election. But more than looking election to election, more than just keeping in mind the state assembly elections or the parliament elections of 2024, I think more important is how to have a very strong voice of opposition in the country. And being in opposition, we have to ensure that various institutions in the country, they are protected, well protected. They are neutral. They are not taken over by a political party, or they are not under siege of the government, which is unfortunately happening now. So it is not election to election. It is not something which you can say for next 2 years, 3 years. It is always we should think of when we talk about ideology, when we talk about opposition or ruling, we need to think long term. BJP also thought long term. The way now things are coming up, BJP also thought it was a party formed in 84, but before that RSS used to have Jansangh and Janata Party also for a very brief period. So, but they have also been planning for a long period of time. What they have achieved now is something which has been planned since long. As far as we are concerned now, Rahulji is having his Bharat Jodo Yatra. So this Bharat Jodo Yatra also has a motive. One of the most important things, as we are saying, is it is against divisive politics of hatred. Secondly, it is against the rising disparity in the country. Rich are getting richer and poor are getting poorer. So it is not surprising. We all know that this will happen. Gautam Adani's wealth grew eightfold during the time of pandemic. And Oxfam has said that he made use of the state connections to become the country's largest operator. And imagine Gautam Adani owning media houses. Imagine the other second rich person, Ambani, owning the media houses. So how can you expect the institutions to be neutral? So this is something which we are fighting against. So when you ask what our plans are to protect the institutions. That this is the most important thing, and this is the most important reason for this Bharat Jodo Yatra also. So unless we protect the institutions, now if we go in for one election or the other election, one of the most important unfair electoral politics is to purchase votes. That is done through money. This another form of unfair electoral politics is by influencing the minds of people through the media. So imagine a person having gained wealth eightfold times during the period of pandemic, and that too with the help of government resources and government support. And that person is now taking over NDTV, which is supposed to be the most neutral channel in the country. And the other richest person, Ambani, is holding the Network 18, which is the second most popular channel in the country. So imagine such people owning the channels. They are influencing the minds of people to their benefit. So this is something which I feel is a flaw in our democracy, which needs to be corrected. This is how we need to protect our institutions. This is what Rahul Gandhi is doing on the street. This is what we are continuously day to day raising our voice against. So this is something which is very important, protecting the institutions, which as opposition we have to do, and we are trying to do.
Sir, if I may, so very valid point, sir, but if I may ask a follow-up question regarding ownership of media. As an outside viewer, I feel that everyone can, if they have the funds, everyone could purchase or own a percentage of the media houses. And even though some people may be against, say, Mr. Adani or Mr. Ambani owning these houses, media houses, it seems to be that there doesn't seem to be a law to prevent that. So as a leader who's been in the Congress party and in government for so many years, I want to ask you, is there a way to regulate media freedom, media neutrality in the country?
You asked a very good and valid question. This is something which came before us when we were in government. I still remember a cabinet meeting where this issue was discussed at that time, because media was going against us at that time. You may recollect every day we had Arnab Goswami shouting at top of his voice, saying the nation wants to know, the nation wants to know. So Arnab Goswami, the editor of Times Now, is very closely related to a BJP leader of Assam. And we always used to say this is something which the BJP, as I told you, in the long, they have been planning since long. Now he owns a TV channel, Republic TV, and he owns hundreds of crores of rupees. So this is all which is in a way given to him because of his good services to the BJP. So at that time also we discussed what is the way out. We discussed about a legislation, but generally we felt that media should be self-regulating rather than forced regulation. So this is what then finally we decided. We thought in the wisdom, in the wise wisdom of things, we should let the media decide themselves. They should, it should be self-regulatory rather than, because again, if suppose today at that time we were in government, now if suppose BJP comes to power, and if it is regulated by the government, it would not be fair to have the media being regulated by A government or B government. So we left media to be self-regulated. But more importantly, now as things are evolving, we feel that the editorial board or people deciding on the content of what to be printed or what to be broadcasted should not be influenced by the owners. It should be done by the editors. Here, there was a time when everyone knew who was the editor of Times of India. They were well-known people. People who is the editor, national editor of Hindustan Times. Now you tell me no one knows about the editors of these prestigious newspapers. We used to have Khushwant Singh. We used to have Giriraj Jain. We used to have so many people who were so prominent editors of print media. Now no one knows who is the editor, because it is not the editors who decide, it is the owners who decide what is to be printed, what is to be broadcasted. So the owner should be separated from the editorial content or the broadcast content. This is the only way out, and I think that time will come soon when such things will happen, because as I said, our democracy will be flawed always when minds of people are being impacted. Now, Rahul Gandhi, it has been 78 days since he's on a Bharat Jodo Yatra. Every day, new set of 30 to 50,000 people join his yatra. But it is a complete blackout from the media. Only in the social media, you can see people walking. In the normal media, the only time he was shown was when he criticized Savarkar. Otherwise, no one in the media showed him, and it is a total blackout from the media. So this is something which is very dangerous and which concerns all of us.
Right, sir. All the points that you've made so far about protecting our democratic institutions like the media, the judiciary, are very valid and very pertinent. Coming back to the present, and something that you have been repeatedly mentioning, the Bharat Jodo Yatra, that is one of the most prominent events that the Congress party is currently organizing and hosting. Uh, MP from Wayanad and Congress leader Rahul Gandhi is walking all across the country, beginning from Kanyakumari, and I think the goal is to finish it at Srinagar, if I'm not wrong. Mr. Gandhi and many members from the Congress have claimed that the goal of the party, the goal of the yatra, is to bring people of the country together, to see people together against hatred, standing together as one nation. However, from the pictures and videos, which may be filtered, as you just mentioned, because of the media being operated by a certain section of the political spectrum, a huge section of the participants that we are seeing in the yatra are in some form or the other related to the Congress party itself, be it like a Congress minister, a party worker, or an event organizer itself. One then, a layman in the country may get the idea that the motive of the yatra is to reunite the Congress party, or to revitalize, re-energize the party cadre itself before actually uniting the country. What do you think is the main motive, and is it actually being implemented in the correct manner, or is it more symbolic in its sense?
Um, uh, I think this is again, I would like to emphasize the point that our yatra is not being shown properly by the media.
Correct.
Because every day he meets people from all walks of life. It is arranged in such a manner that every day he meets people from civil society, farmers, Adivasis, not congressmen, general people. And they are structured meeting held for hours together. He walks only 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon. Rest of the time, he meets with the people, he interacts with the people. Wherever he is going, he is interacting with the people. This is something which is being totally blacked out by the media. So this is what I am trying to say. You would see only what they want you to see. This is how they are impacting the minds of people. Every place, everywhere, because if he is going there, why he won't like to utilize his time to meet with people of the civil society? If suppose if he has to, people, workers from all over the district or all over the state, they come, they throng, and they walk with him. But he would like to to utilize that particular period of time to meet with as many varied groups as possible. This is any normal human being, not any normal politician would do. So why wouldn't he do? So he is on a yatra. He is on a mission to meet as many people as possible. He is on a mission to unite as many people as possible. So he is meeting every category of our citizens. He is meeting farmers. He is meeting Adivasis. He is meeting people of the civil society working at that in that district, in that block. So this is a part of his yatra, which is not being shown by the media.
So, sir, this brings up a very important topic about perception in the media and civil society. Ever since there's been the advent of new tech and social media in this modern era of politics, I feel, as an outside viewer, I feel that uh, doing work as well as showing work has been, the proportion of importance given to doing work and showing work is maybe skewed, if that's the correct word to use. uh, Whether you're in government or whether you're in the opposition right now with the Bharat Jodo Yatra, I feel, and it also makes sense that we do the work, we do the policy, the project, but at the same time, some attention and increasing attention has to also be given to how this policy, this project, this yatra, for instance, is projected out to the outside world, to the media. So, in that vein, sir, I want to ask you, do you think governments of all parties, as well as the opposition, are increasingly giving more importance to perception nowadays, and how important has perception crept into the thought process of political leaders, political parties?
Vishnu, this is again a very important aspect. Perception always in a democracy has been very important. The way perception is managed, the way perception is created, it has changed. So perception always matters in a democracy, because finally when people go to vote, they vote on basis of a certain perception they have about a party or a leader. So earlier on, when the social media was not there, at that time newspapers and television channels, they used to play a very important role. And before we opened up our television channel, at that time Doordarshan or these newspapers, only whatever they were, they played a very important role. Now with the coming of social media, the tools of democracy has changed. And this is where I must admit that this is something where we failed to catch up with the changing tools of democracy when we were in power. This is where the BJP went ahead of us. The image of Pappu which was created for Rahul Gandhi is something which the BJP did using this social media, when we even failed to acknowledge the importance of social media. When Obama in USA was using social media, BJP very cleverly, they started using social media to their advantage. You will be surprised, in 2013, I resigned from the Union Cabinet Minister. I was made a General Secretary of the Congress Party. In 2013, June, I was made the General Secretary in charge of communication. So this was a new department created in 2013 June. And remember, in 2014 May, we were going to face the election, just 11 months after that. I started looking for Facebook account of Congress Party. I did not find. I started looking for a Twitter account of Congress Party. I did not find. I started looking for a Twitter account and Facebook account of Rahul Gandhi. He didn't have. And
Oh,
Rahul
wow.
Gandhi joined Twitter and Facebook in 2016. So this is something which is a very important reason why we failed, and we never acknowledged at that time the importance of social media. Wherein the BJP, they were fast and they were smart to acknowledge the importance of social media. And then with a great difficulty, I started Facebook account and Twitter account of the Congress Party. So, but then it was too late in the day. By the time the elections of 2014 approached, we were totally wiped out of social media. So perception, as you said, is very important. It has always been very important, but the way perception is created has changed from the earlier times. Just you can say by word of mouth, by going during earlier years of our independence. After that, newspapers became increasingly important. Then Doordarshan also was important. Then after that, now the social media is very important.
So, sir, my follow-up question would be, in some sense, is perception overpowering the actual work that a government is doing? Uh, Maybe even say BJP governments, even the Congress governments have all done good work in their time. It's not that one side has only been doing bad work. Governments are doing good work, but the perception battle in social media that is always, it seems to me that good work seems to be masked by social media campaigns that are run. And this has many impacts that citizens may not know the true amenities that a policy provides, or it shows a particular party in bad light. Another example of this is, as you mentioned, Mr. Rahul Gandhi's image has been shown in a very skewed manner. So I want to ask you, sir, does perception play such an important role in, say, electoral results? Do you think perception has that swaying power in the people of India when they cast their ballot?
Yes, it matters. And it matters if you combine perception with the set of narratives which are being tried to played out. And when a set of political parties or a set of leaders, they hold control over media and they spend money on social media, they are able to set the narrative. Like before Pulwama in 2019 elections, everyone thought that Congress has a good chance. And before that, if you may recollect, we did exceedingly well in all state elections. But then on 14 February 2019, Pulwama happened and the entire narrative changed. The entire narrative changed from development to fighting Pakistan, to the bold initiative, so-called bold initiative of Narendra Modi's government by striking Pakistan. So the entire narrative and perception changed. So this is where I say always that this is flawed. When during our times, even with 10 rupee increase in petrol and diesel prices, we were called at television studios and attacked and asked, the nation wants to know by the two people like Arnab Goswami. And now petrol and diesel prices, they overnight increase by 2 rupees, 3 rupees a liter, and you don't find a single mention of these things in the media. About corruption, about CAG reports. The CAG report, just one page of CAG reports, and they used to ask Congress, question Congress on corruption issues. Now CAG report after CAG report is writing so many things against the government. No one is asking, have you ever seen in the past 5-6 years any CAG report being discussed or debated in the television channels? No. But during Congress's regime, every day it was the CAG report which was being discussed. So media sets the narrative, and through these narratives, the perceptions are set. So this is where I would like to repeat again, a person whose wealth has grown eightfold during pandemic, just with the help of government connections. He owns a media house. Second to him owns another media house. They both are the two biggest media houses. So they are the ones who are setting the narrative, and through the money taken by the government through electoral bonds, 80% of which goes to the ruling party, they are impacting the social media, using that money in campaigning during the election. So where does the opposition stand?
So, sir, speaking about perception as you just did, the question reduces to asking, what, according to you, are the true trusted sources of information that one should follow? Or maybe if I can modify this question and ask you, what are the trusted sources of information that you, Mr. Maken, what do you actually trust?
Sources of information is still we are able to get, despite the government changing the way information was given. As students of economics, you may be knowing that the government has changed various definitions. In like 2017-18 figures of consumer consumption is not yet ready. This is something which was pointed out by one of the international forums in Paris. I don't remember the name, but this is something which has been pointed out repeatedly at international forums also. The way information was given earlier, it has changed. The statistical department is no longer as forthcoming in giving information as they used to earlier. But still, we are able to get good data from different sources, like CMI data on unemployment is there for us. There are many other research organizations in our country doing good work. So data is available. Most important thing is going back to the people and asking for the feedback. This is what we are doing, and we feel that people are aggrieved because of unemployment. People are aggrieved because of price rise. In India, what is happening is that the government has become so right wing. It has to be, you have to be right winger, or left of center or right of center. But it is so much tilted towards the right wing. They have reduced the corporate taxes, increased the GST to the extent that it is putting burden on common persons, giving relief to the big corporate houses. And this is how disparity is also increasing. And this is how a divide between rich and poor is also increasing. So all such things people know. They are aggrieved because of the price rise. They are aggrieved because of the unemployment. So this is something which everyone knows. Again, our problem is at the time of elections, the narratives would be changed. At the time of elections, again, it will be India-Pakistan, it will be India-China, it will be the bold initiative of the Prime Minister. Look how bold he is when he is talking to international leaders. How does it matter as far as the unemployment is concerned if he is talking in a bold manner with international leaders? How is it related to the price rise? How is it related to the unemployment? How is it reducing the disparity in the country? So these are the real issues which should be debated and discussed on the television channels, in the media, amongst the people at the time of voting, not frivolous issues which the media is trying to set up.
Sir, a lot of the points I agree with you, but there are also some which I want to express some maybe an alternative viewpoint, maybe not necessarily because I disagree with you. Probably I'm just not so educated. Sir, I was wondering, don't you think that even the current media outlets, I watched some of them, the ones you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, I still feel as a very neutral observer, I'm as neutral as water on a pH scale. As the chemistry student, you'll appreciate that joke. I'm wondering, sir, some of those media outlets I feel are still quite neutral. NDTV, as you mentioned, even Network 18, I find them to be neutral. They put voices, they give voices to both all parties of the spectrum. I was wondering, sir, is it really true that the media has been skewed? I can name maybe few channels, one or two news channels that are skewed, but I feel that the large majority of news channels in the country are still quite neutral and they have voices from all sides of the spectrum.
No. Again, now I'll tell you something. You just, with this thing in mind, you watch. Media, whenever TV discussions, debates take place, there's one representative from the Congress party, one representative from the BJP, and one representative from the Aam Aadmi Party. Why? It doesn't have a member of parliament in Lok Sabha, but it doesn't have CPM, it doesn't have CPI, it doesn't have other regional parties, but it has one Aam Aadmi Party because they hit Congress Party. Then they have a neutral commentator. That neutral commentator, you should check the credentials of those neutral commentators, what their linkages with the BJP or RSS has been previously. So having dealt with the communication department, our one Congress spokesperson is pitted against all of them. And all of them, they have just one agenda to beat Congress party. So secondly, you should also look at the agenda on which discussions are taking place. When you are talking about Network 18, has Network 18 at any point in time discussed on petrol diesel price hike? No, never. And let me tell you why. Because Reliance is the biggest oil refinery industry in the country. So how can you expect Reliance, being the biggest oil refinery in the country, having their interest in oil, discuss the price hike of oil and petrol prices? They would never discuss. Now Adani is owning NDTV. Adani is owning ports. and airports in the country. If suppose something comes to airport and port, do you think that NDTV owned by Adani is going to discuss anything with these things? So this is a clear-cut conflict of interest. Then these people are heavily, the owners are heavily benefited by the government. And when the owners are heavily benefited by the government, there's obviously a conflict of interest. And let me tell you again, the discussion, the topics of discussions are not decided at the studio. They are decided somewhere else. You would find same topic of discussions in all television channels in Monday. And why are they? No one is discussing this or publicizing this Bharat Jodo Yatra, and they are publicizing only those shots which they want to set the narrative for. They would never let these pictures or these videos of Rahul Gandhi discussing with tribals, with farmers, with small scale industrialists, discussing with them on various issues. You would never see such things coming on television channels. It would be only such things which is against the Congress party will appear on these television channels.
So I'm sure when we bring a BJP leader next time as a guest,
You ask them.
We will control C, control V these points that you mentioned. So Gautam, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maken, for sharing all those interesting points on the role of social media perception and how it is shaping up today's modern day politics in India. Now, shifting gears a little bit and focusing a bit more on your past work, many of us here in the audience members are enthusiastic about sports and how we're seeing the development of sports in the country today. I personally am a huge cricket fan, and all of us here are very excited to know a lot about your tenure as the sports minister of the country back in 2011. So my question here is twofold. You famously claimed that India lacks the presence of a strong sporting culture. And that is one phrase or term that is very commonly thrown around by many voices in the media. So just for our audience members here, what does one really mean by strong sporting culture, and what steps did you and the Congress government back then take to start the establishment of a strong Indian sporting culture?
Well, I would be, as far as sports is concerned, I'll be critical on both the Congress and the BJP alike, because this is something which is entrenched, cutting across political spectrum. And this is which I fought as a sports minister, the stranglehold of politicians over sports bodies. This is what I said, and this is the sports bill, draft sports bill, which I brought to the cabinet. It was shot down by my own cabinet because half of the cabinet members would have lost their job as various sporting federation office bearers had that bill seen light of the day. So, then I was removed or elevated from sports ministry to some other ministry in a very short span. So this is what our government during our time happened. So I'm equally critical of the Congress government. The problem is that our national sports bodies and the Sports Authority of India, both, they are handled by politicians or bureaucrats. The sports administrators, there's no professionalism in the National Sports Body or Sports Authority of India. The Sports Authority of India, which is the government-owned body owning all the stadiums in the country, looking after training of our elite athletes and preparing for the various Olympics and Commonwealth Games, is headed by an additional secretary level civil servant, and whose main job is to somehow get a posting in Delhi, wait for a year or so in order to become the secretary of the government of India. Why can't we have people like Gopi Chand or Prakash Padukone or Kapil Dev or some people like them heading the Sports Authority of India, the government-owned Sports Authority of India? The same with national sports boards or national sports authorities. Now we have Suresh Kalmadi used to head our athletic association for decades altogether. Vijay Kumar Malhotra used to head our archery association for 3 decades. And we had Jagdish Titler being the president of Judo Association for 15-20 years. Abhay Chautala, president of Boxing Association. our Digambar Kamath, our Goa Chief Minister, head of Swimming Federation, SM Krishna, head of Tennis Federation. So all these people, they know nothing about the sports federation which they used to head, and then they had set of bureaucrats under them. So what I said, that public servants or people in politics should have nothing to do with these sports bodies. It is a full-time job. If you are heading a sports body, it is a full-time job. How can you be a minister and also be a good president of the sports bodies? It is a full-time job. So we need professional sports person, professional sports managers or players from within the players who should be office bearers of these sports bodies. This is what I said. Then the biggest problem with us is that we are the physical fitness level of our children, it is very low. Kerala, it has the highest social indicators in the country. And in Kerala in 2010-11, they had conducted one health-related physical fitness test in which 15,65,000 students participated. You will be surprised, only 17.89% boys and 13.23% girls, they passed the minimum recommended standards. And this is Kerala, only 17.89% girls, 18% boys, and 13% girls, they passed the test in Kerala. Why? Because no one is putting any interest in physical activities, in physical fitness. So then what I suggested was we should have marks for sports or marks for physical fitness. We should give weightage for physical fitness in the exams. Like anyone, we should have a battery of tests like sit-ups, sit and reach, 100-meter run. So likewise, we can have battery of sports tests, and on the basis of marks any student gets in those battery of physical fitness tests, a percentage or weightage should be given in his overall percentage of marks. So this is how we can put physical fitness or sports into the minds of people, because everyone is for marks. Any student, and you've been a student of the school from Ojasvi also, we always ask, how many marks did you get, beta? And same is for every parent. So add some weightage depending on the physical fitness of that boy or girl onto the marks, so that the admissions also in the colleges also has some component of physical fitness in it. So this is how we can do it. Then the third thing, which I started, unfortunately I was unable to finish, was to set up a National Institute of Sports Sciences. Unfortunately, we do not have a sports sciences. It's a professional sports science institute. Unless we have, this is all professional and this is all scientific. And we don't have, which we are such a big country with vast resources, but we do not have a sports sciences. We have Institute of Sports Sciences, and it is a science. We have sports anthropology, sports biochemistry, sports biomechanics, sports nutrition, sports psychology, sports physiology, so many things. But we don't have any scientific sports science institute to deal with all such things. So we badly require this National Institute of Sports Sciences. This is what I had suggested. Unfortunately, it has not yet seen light of the day.
Right. Even now, sir, a very common saying that all of our parents sometimes tell us is that padhoge, likhoge, banoge nawab, kheloge, kudoge, banoge kharab, which for our audience means that if you study, you will become kings, and if you do not, you will become inferior humans in some form. So yeah, very aptly correct mentioned points by you, sir. Moving slightly back to the first part of your answer, representing exactly what you were saying, many voices today and in the past in our country have also mentioned that there is not a very strong need for a sports ministry in the country. Do you in some form agree with that? Should leadership be given to private sports federations and organizations, with what you mentioned that the leadership should be given to coaches, sportsmen, and people who are not bureaucrats and ministers, but rather people who have actively played any particular sport?
I entirely agree with this. The sports ministry or the bureaucracy or the government should have minimal role in these things. Why should a sports minister be actively involved in day-to-day sports activities? Why should we have a secretary for sports? Why should the Sports Authority of India be headed by an additional secretary rank officer? So, but this can be done. This is the second step after we reforms this national sports bodies. If suppose the government is totally out, and then the politicians or various ministers or various secretaries in the government, themselves become the heads of these sports bodies, they would be totally unchecked and they would run havoc. So this is something which should be done, and the government or bureaucrats, it should be run by professionals. The government should be there to provide help, to provide monetary benefits, to ensure that training and other infrastructure, there's no dearth of money. So the government should be there to look for these things, but active control shouldn't be with the government. It should be with the professionally run sports bodies.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing all those points about your experiences as the sports minister of the country. Uh, Moving on to another very important, since you've been a veteran in Delhi politics, I am also from Delhi, as you already know. I have a few questions about Delhi politics in particular. And the first one that I want to touch base upon is the issue of full statehood and whether it should be provided to the Union Territory of Delhi or not. Our current Chief Minister, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, has been of the belief that Delhi should be given full statehood, as it will enable them more powers, enhanced powers, and so that they can better serve the people of Delhi. But when it comes to the two larger national parties, Congress and BJP, there is no one stance that you can find out on the internet or in any interviews. So just for our audience members, can you break down what full statehood to Delhi would entail, and what is your personal opinion of that?
Well, you are all based in USA. Washington, D.C. is not a state.
Correct.
Washington, D.C. is not a state. It doesn't have even a representative in the Senate. It is Washington, D.C. Being the capital of USA is not the state. Why is it is not a state? Because it belongs to the entire country. Delhi is a union territory. Why? Because it is a national capital. It belongs to the entire country. So that sense of ownership in a national capital should be with the entire country. It shouldn't be with a particular state. Secondly, it has many problems. And Delhi, when Kejriwal says that make us a state, what he's asking for is something which is against the interest of Delhi people. Now, every year, at least 35,000 crore rupees is spent by the central government on Delhi, just because it is a union territory. The biggest expenditure is on Delhi police. 11,000 crore rupees every year is given to Delhi police by the central government. And as Delhi taxpayer, you don't have to spend even a single penny on the police, on Delhi police, for which the entire country is paying. Then we have 5 super specialty hospitals: AIIMS, Safdarjung, Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital, Sucheta Kirpalani Hospital. So likewise, we have 5 super specialty hospitals. Tell me a single state where 5 super specialty hospitals are there run by the central government. All these super specialty hospitals are run by central government, on which they spend another 7-8 crore rupees. Then we have central universities in Delhi. The Delhi University is entirely funded by the central government. Jawaharlal Nehru University is entirely funded by the central government. Jamia University is entirely funded by the central government. We have 3 central universities in Delhi. So all these 3 central universities in Delhi are funded by the central government. Delhi government doesn't spend on higher education. So imagine Delhi government doesn't have to spend on higher education. Delhi government doesn't have to spend on police. Delhi government doesn't have to spend much on healthcare. 5 super specialty hospitals are here in Delhi, for Delhi, spent by the central government. Then the pension for all the government employees, 4,000 crore rupees every year is the cost of pension for the government employees. Since Delhi is a union territory, government employees are the union government employees. So the entire pension amount annually, 4,000 crore rupees, is spent by the central government. So from where he is going to get this additional 35,000 crores? And besides logistic, also economically, this is not good for Delhi. Because Delhi being you'll find metro in Delhi, for which Delhi government spends only 15%. Rest of the money is spent by the central government or by the loan guaranteed by repayment of which is guaranteed by the central government. You won't find such huge metro network anywhere else in the country because of the central government. So, and then suppose if Delhi is under Kejriwal and Modi is the prime minister, and if a foreign dignitary is coming to Delhi, and that foreign dignitary Kejriwal wants that foreign dignitary to first visit the chief minister and then visit the prime minister. And then he has police under him, traffic police under him. What he can do? He can divert the traffic, he can put the police, and he can always take everything, do everything what he wants. Then if suppose there's a clash between the central government and Delhi government, then would the military intervene in between? So always, wherever it is, throughout the world, globally, wherever we have the national capital, it is run by the central government, or it has a separate, totally separate governance structure, nothing to do with no legislative powers.
Sir, it's great to know your opinion about Delhi statehood. As a Mumbai resident, Delhi baffles me. I have no idea what the NCT is, NCR is, where does Gurgaon come into the picture, and all those sort of stuff. So it's good to bring some clarity. So moving on to a slightly reflective question and heading to this fun segment that we have planned, I want to ask you, sir, according to me, a politician's life is a black box. I envision a politician to be someone who sits in black SUVs and then moves from white colored buildings to another white colored building, probably spending some time in Resina Hill, or what's that other place called? Lutyens. This is Lutyens Delhi. That's the language used often. So now that you're sitting here, sir, you're asking, you have the floor for about 40 Berkeley students and professors. I want to ask you, if there's one myth or one myth about a politician's perception that you want to change, what would that be?
First of all, I would like to take you to the first part of our session, when I said that I wanted to be in politics ever since I was in 6th, 7th standard. And I planned my entire career. So I'm not a accidental politician, I'm a career politician. So when I wanted to be a politician, in my mind, the image of a politician, my grandmother always, when she used to bless me, she never said politician bano, she said leader bano. There's a difference between being a leader and being a politician. And you have to find that difference. That is very important, because when you say politician, it is, this word is so degraded now. People think, as you said, like a black box, which is not true. When you think of politician, when you think of people in SUVs with black, this thing, you are talking about a very few, 0.001% of those who have reached that state. Whereas the vast majority of politicians are at the grassroots level. Our polling agents are politicians who get nothing. We, for every elections, like even for municipal corporation elections in Delhi, for every seat, we get at least 25 applications. So those 25 applications, out of which only one will get a municipal councillor ticket, would you not call all 24, 25 of them politicians? They would be busy cleaning lanes for wherever they live. They would be busy clearing the garbage or looking the gardens better. So they are also a set of politicians. So when you think of politicians, don't think politicians just as the top 0.001% of those people who are able to achieve or reach to those positions about which you have that perception. Politicians are also in every political party. We've got good politicians, bad politicians. Good politicians who have social service in their mind, who have come with an objective, who are wedded to the ideology of their political party, for whom getting power is or getting money is not the main motive, for whom making change in the society is the main motive, which drove them into politics. So there are many people like them. You all can be like that also. So never think that politics is just to make money or just to be in that black box. Politics is to serve. And this is what I said in the beginning itself, that is something which motivated me to join politics. And this is the perception which I would like to change. And people like you entering politics would help us change this perception of politicians.
Right, sir. I think that was a great answer. And I think everyone here, our students and professors, can take a lot of inspiration from that, this answer of yours. As Vishnu just mentioned, we would like to now move on to a fun small segment that we specially prepared for you in the form of a rapid fire set of questions in which
this is our attempt at being Karan Johar, though very unsuccessfully.
Yeah, some 10 to 12 small questions about just your life in general. Some of them could be entertaining, some could be reflective, some could be slightly stupid, but it's up to you if you want to answer. But it'll be great if we can get some personal answers from you that are rapid and also kind of full of fire. So the first 5 questions can be asked by me, and then Vishnu can take the next five
Sure.
set of questions. So, sir, if you're ready, my first question to you would be, what is your favorite book?
My favorite book now I am reading Colossus, The Anatomy of Delhi. So this is something which is with one of my very favorite. He doesn't know that he's my favorite one, Nilanjan Sarkar. He is a data scientist
Oh, wow.
working in Delhi. So
Right.
they have done some fabulous survey of Delhi. This Colossus, The Anatomy of Delhi, is my one of my favorite books, which I'm reading now.
Right. The next question would be, if you could have a conversation with someone over a lunch, dead or alive, who would that person be for you?
Like, I would like to have conversation with Indira Gandhi.
Wow, what an
Yeah,
answer. Uh,
Indira Gandhi.
uh, our next question was prepared with the intention that you've done your undergrad in chemistry. What would be your favorite element of the periodic table?
Please, it has been long time I have been in politics, and when I was in final year, I became president. So I have stopped even thinking of chemistry. Going back to what my father wanted me to do, please don't ask this question.
Sir, completely fair.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, sir, next. Who is your, as in millennial lingo, we use the word BFF or bestie. Who is your bestie in the political world, your best friend in the political world?
In politics, you don't have any best friends. Like you have either leaders or you have followers. So this is normally in politics, because uh, friendship in politics is something which is very rare. It is a sad and bad part of politics, but friendship
Sir,
in
you might have
politics.
had some friendly conversations with a few, maybe some colleagues of yours. So who's the
We have
go-to?
we have friendly conversations with people across the party lines also. So if I say that my bestie is someone from the other party, it may be construed in a different manner. So I have some good friends across the party and from within the party also. I have, but uh, bestie is the wrong word to say, because
Yeah.
So funny enough, my next question would have been, who's your go-to person to converse with in the opposite, in the other side of the spectrum? I know you had a very diplomatic answer to not answer this, but I'm very curious. I want to know whether someone in the
I
BJP, someone in the
yeah,
Congress can truly be friends.
I'll tell you this. I can safely answer that, because that person in the BJP is no more. Arun
So
Jaitley, and for very many of our congressmen, I think that Arun Jaitley would have been a person to go to in the opposition. And Arun Jaitley and I, we both shared, we were from the same school, and he was my senior, a good 12 years senior in the school. And then he was the DUSU president also, University Student Union president, so was I. He was from Shriram College, I was from Hansraj College. So we shared this, and otherwise also he was one of the best persons whom you could look up to, and for guidance and advice and whatever you may say.
Right. And sir, one last rapid fire question that all of us from Delhi really wanted to know was, what would be your favorite Delhi street food?
I knew you would
Oh.
ask this.
My favorite Delhi street food is, we have Fateh ki kachori.
Right.
And kachori is filled with matra. So that is something, and otherwise chole bhature is my favorite in
I was
Delhi.
about to say that. Obviously also really likes chole bhature as
Yeah,
far as
yeah. Chole bhature is something which I always miss when I go out of Delhi. So chole bhature and fateh ki kachori, these are the two things which the street food. And I'm very fond of street food.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for giving some of these answers and giving us an insight into your personal life. And now we can move on to the last segment of this interview, which is the audience question and answer session. And members from the audience can either raise their hands or unmute themselves and uh,
It'll be better if we raise our hands so it's orderly. So if anyone wants to ask a question that possibly we couldn't ask due to lack of time, please. Okay, we can start with Mr. Kalra. I will, yes, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Vishnu. Hi, sir. My name is Abhay Kalra. I'm a junior at Polity, but originally I'm from Delhi too. Firstly, thank you so much for taking the time to come talk to us today. And I've been following the Bharat Jodo Yatra very closely. I think a lot of us have been. And the fact that Rahul Gandhi is out there on the streets instead of, an ornate stage working for like much needed change, especially in such tense times in the countries, is truly commendable. And we see the change coming, but there's definitely a long way to go. So my question is that what can someone who's in attendance today in their capacity as a student away from home do, I guess, to lend a hand in an effort such as Bharat Jodo Yatra that, they might want to get behind because they understand and they appreciate the change?
Well, first of all, you can join Bharat Jodo Yatra on net. We have a dedicated website wherein you can follow Bharat Jodo Yatra. So this is at least you can do. And then whatever good things you feel is happening in Bharat Jodo Yatra through social media platform, you can let others know. Because as I said in my talk, our mainstream media is not doing justice to this Bharat Jodo Yatra the way it should have been done. So maybe you can follow on net, and it is telecast live. All the programs are mentioned, because the general impression, as Vishnu also mentioned, was that it is only the Congress workers who are coming and meeting, which is not so. So from varied spectrum of our society, all leaders are coming and meeting and raising their issues and questions. So maybe you can follow that, and whenever you feel proper, you can also propagate it in social media.
Thank you so much, sir.
The next question will be from Shubham Parekh.
Thanks, Gautam. Mr. Maken, before I ask my questions, I think I would like to make it clear that my case in point is Gujarat. A lot was spoken about perception. I feel like there is a perception that Congress can't be a strong opposition force, despite the Gujarat political system being a binary system for the last how many decades I can't count, where Congress and BJP were the only players. And despite posting the best of performance in 2017, you've now ceded space to a third party, which is actually making strong inroads from all polls out there. And on top of that, there is a non-seriousness on Congress's part. Just to like add some color to it, BJP, despite being in a very strong position, is deploying all its top guns straight from the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, to the National President. Whereas your party's face, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, I think only took like a 2-day break from the Bharat Jodo Yatra and went to Gujarat. If the Congress is going to remain non-serious about fighting elections, which is very important as a political party, and starts ceding space to other regional parties or parties, aspiring to be national parties, how do you see Congress recovering from this political vacuum it is in today?
This is a very important thing, and I think this is a fault line as far as the Congress party is concerned, I must admit. And winning elections are very important, and concentrating wherever the elections are taking place is very important. And anyone who wants a strong opposition would in any way question why is it that the Congress or the Congress leadership, they are not putting in all their efforts in fighting Gujarat elections from where Narendra Modi and Amit Shah come. But again, I would like to take you to the initial part of our discussions when I said this Bharat Jodo Yatra and otherwise, we are not looking just election to elections. We are looking at a larger picture how to ensure that the institutions in our country are not compromised with. So this Bharat Jodo Yatra is something which is very important. It is also bringing to the fore the real issues which people are facing. And maybe the media is not showing, but wherever this yatra is going during discussions with people out there, and we feel that this may make a big change, and this is something which is required for the Congress party. And why didn't Rahul Gandhi go for Gujarat elections? This entire Bharat Jodo Yatra will take at least 6 months time. And there is no 6 months window anytime in our country wherein no elections are taking place. So at any given point in time, there will be one election or the other. After this, it will be Karnataka. Then after this, it will be Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh. So all these states are equally important. So we can't find a single 6 months time slot which is conducive weather-wise because of the varied climatic conditions. Now we can't have this Bharat Jodo Yatra in summers in northern part of the country, or in winters we can't have it in Kashmir and Srinagar. So it has to be timed in such a way, planned such a way, and this was the only time slot which was available for us. And we don't want to divert this also. Because this Bharat Jodo Yatra, if suppose Rahul Gandhi, we would have taken him out for a week, 10 days, 15 days to Gujarat, then Himachal elections were there also. Our Himachal leaders also were demanding Rahul Gandhi to be there. So this entire yatra, the seriousness of this yatra would have been under a serious question mark. And then many critics would have said why he has started this yatra when he had to move around in between. So the seriousness of this yatra has to be ascertained, and it is something which is much more important than a state election. So but I agree, we could have, even without Rahulji, we could have put in more efforts, more workers, more leaders in Gujarat elections, which we unfortunately were not able to.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Maken. Thanks, Vishnu and Gautam.
Thank you, Shubham. All great questions. I'd like to go to Bhavya Kheta next.
Thanks, Vishnu. I have a couple of questions for you. So you talked about the private ownership of media with Adani and Ambani owning media, and then you talked about Reliance owning oil refineries and the rising prices of crude oil, which is probably affected with the Russian-Ukraine war and just global rise in oil prices. In general, my question is that you said that Congress is promoting the socialist ideology and BJP is more right-leaning with a little more capitalist ideology. And then you talked about perception in the media and in general in the public. Do you think, is it more about Congress's views not being represented right, or is it more about the public in general preferring a capitalist society more? Based on what
let me make a small correction that the rise in petrol prices, diesel prices in India is in no way related to Ukraine crisis, because we are buying our oil from Russia, and we are buying our oil at much cheaper prices than the international prices. So we are much better off now. Secondly, in India, the rise in petrol and diesel prices have not been because of international prices. It has been because 12-fold increase in the excise duties, the central excise of the central government. And it is because of the reduction in subsidies which was given in petrol and diesel by the earlier government. So it has been a 12-fold increase in annual excise collection by the government of India on petrol and diesel. So the reason for increase in petrol and diesel prices, this is what is pinching people, is not even when the international global oil prices, they come down, the oil prices, petrol and diesel prices in India, they go up. So this is something which is pinching us. Secondly, the success of BJP in elections or the perception is mainly due to the narrative set during the elections by the media, and also well-oiled election machinery, fighting machinery by the BJP, and also compromise, or you can say systematic destruction of institutions in our country. So all these things, four things collectively, they are making BJP win elections after the elections. If you talk about people's perception or about the government, it is not only as an opposition. Otherwise, also I feel that people are not very happy the way they are being governed. But when they go to vote, they don't vote on the basis of governance. They vote on basis of Hindutva. They vote on the basis of Ram Lala Mandir. They vote on the basis of caste. They vote on different bases. It has nothing to do with development. It has nothing to do with unemployment. It has nothing to do with price rise. Many times people say that this is a sacrifice which we are making for Ram Lala Mandir. This is a sacrifice which we are making to teach Pakistan a lesson. So if this is the narrative, or if this is something which is in the minds of people at the time of going for elections, the results are what we are getting now. And to set up these narratives, media, the mainline media is playing the most important role.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think we'll take one last audience question and then conclude the event. Arushi, if we can unmute her.
Hello. Good evening and good morning for you, Mr. Maken. Thank you so much for your time. This was a truly insightful interview. And it was very clear that being a part of Indian politics is such a demanding job, which requires a surreal amount of perseverance. With that being said, what would you say are the values and principles that guide you and have guided you throughout your career, and you would want us as future leaders or the future generation to imbibe?
First of all, you should always have an ideological ideology in mind for which you should be in politics. And many times youngsters, they come and meet me, I tell them that don't think that politics is just for power or money. It is a commitment to make change. And this is something coming from a family of freedom fighters, which made me join politics. And I think this should be the commitment. And this should be the driving force. And if you want to make a change in the society or in the country or the government for which you are working, you have to set an example yourself. You can't on your own be corrupt and ask others to be honest in every manner. So you have to lead by example. You have to be committed towards your ideology, towards your thinking, right or left or center of life, right, whatever your ideology is, you have to be committed towards that ideology. I feel bad when people all through being in Congress suddenly jump the ship, go on to the BJP diametrically opposite party and become a minister over there. It means that all through you have been fooling your people. All through you have been fooling yourself on ideological commitment and jumping the ship and joining a diametrically opposite party. So this is something which I think that should be there in the minds of everyone or anyone who wants to join politics.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maken. I think that was the end of the Q&A round. And with that, we can wrap up today's conversation with you, Mr. Maken. So thank you so much for being here, and the fact that you agreed to come here and speak with us at such a short notice, and just shared your thoughts very openly, very boldly, very bravely about Congress, its way forward in Indian politics, and how you see your role as a Congress leader in the future is something we truly appreciate and are thankful to you for. I'm sure all of us here are taking something, feel inspired, and go back home with something to think about, reflect upon, and introspect and become better humans in some form or the other. Vishnu, me, and everyone else from the Speaker Series India at Berkeley group are immensely thankful to you. And also huge thanks to the audience members here for sticking around and listening to this conversation and also contributing with some great questions at the very end. Yeah, please follow Mr. Maken on social media, Facebook, Twitter. Please follow Speaker Series India at Berkeley on our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and yeah, we'll come with newer, refreshing, exciting conversations from India's multicultural fabric. And thank you so much for just staying with us and being here today.
Sir, if I may add, you're always invited to Berkeley in person. So if you're ever in the Bay Area, please have this conversation with us in person. I'm sure that will be also much better.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.